everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of Southern Woke.
I'm Marina.
And I'm Kaylin.
And welcome back, you guys. I know we had to take a little bit of a break, but I'm sure y'all know why by now.
Yeah, if y'all haven't heard, we got hit by a hurricane, Hurricane Ida, which was one of the biggest hurricanes that Louisiana has ever seen, and the eye wall literally went right over the city that me and Marina live in. So it was a pretty rough time. We didn't have power for over 2 weeks. Our school's been shut down for almost 3 weeks now. It's been pretty rough.
Yeah, we're gonna have to play a lot of catch up when school opens, and I'm so not ready for it.
I'm not ready for it either. It's been a nice little break, and now it's just gonna be awful when we get back.
I know. I took an evacuation vacation to Arkansas, and it turned into a vacation, and yeah.
That must have been nice. We had to deal without electricity for 2 weeks, and I feel awful saying that because I know people lost their houses during this, but just on a much lesser note, yeah, not having electricity for 2 weeks sucks.
Yeah, that's
especially in Louisiana's heat.
Dude, my intuition was get out of here. You're not built for this. And thank God, because I was having Katrina PTSD leading up to that, because even though I was only 10 years old at the time, my house in Metairie flooded, and we had to move to Covington as a result. So
see, I feel
I'm scared.
I had the opposite, since Katrina never really affected us that bad. We evacuated for it, but I never really saw it, so I was no, this isn't going to be that bad. It was that bad.
And then even though I evacuated to Macomb for Katrina, a tree still fell on the house over the room I was sleeping in. So I was even if I evacuate to just a little further, I still don't feel safe.
Yeah.
So I was I'm going 8 hours away. And yeah. But my thoughts go out to everybody that lost everything or just a few things, because sometimes just a few things can put you back milestones.
Absolutely. I had family members that lost their entire houses. Yeah, this was a rough storm, so keep Louisiana in your prayers as we try to recover over these next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna link some things you can donate to help some of the people. But anyways, our episode today is going to be a little bit more lighthearted since our last one was on Afghanistan, and with everything that we've been going through the last few weeks, we just want to talk about some planets.
Y'all, today's episode is going to be on our solar system, and I know y'all have all talked about the planets in high school, but we want to make it a little more fun for y'all today and just talk about some of the really cool things about these planets that y'all might not know.
Yep, this is the Solar System Sisters.
The Solar System Sisters, I kind of like that.
Oh, it's a tongue twister, though.
Alright, what planet are we getting started on? Are we doing these in order from the sun? Did you ever have to learn them in order from the sun, the song?
I feel well, I didn't remember a song, but...
Oh, we definitely had a song. I don't remember it, but...
Dude, I still can't get over the fact that when we were growing up, we were taught, you would get it wrong if you put that there is 8 planets, because there were 9. But we'll talk about Pluto.
We kind of did Pluto wrong.
We're going to still include her. She's the black sheep, but it turns out there's a few others like her.
It do be true.
Okay, so I guess we'll start off with Mercury. And I put down, give her a good moisturizer for all those wrinkles.
Yeah, Mercury does be really wrinkly.
Yeah, and it's actually a result from its iron core and Mercury continuously being pelted with just everything. Wait, no, that was a different one. No, the wrinkles are caused by its iron core of Mercury being cooled and contracted. Okay, so it's constantly moving, so the wrinkles form. There we go.
Mercury is also single, y'all. She does not have any rings. She doesn't have any moons. And she is one of the smallest planets that there is.
Mm-hmm. And I guess scientists kind of think that she used to kind of be more lively. She used to be a live planet.
She used to be the party animal.
It's one of the... Well, I think it's the only it's the only inner planet that's just completely shut down. If you think of a planet being off or on, Mercury's off.
Heard.
She kind of burnt out. I don't even think...
I don't blame her. I'm about to burn out, too.
Yeah. Being that close to something so high,
True.
But and it has no atmosphere either. Like literally everything just kind of like faded away for her. And during the day, it gets as hot as 800 degrees Fahrenheit. And at night, it's as cold as negative 297 degrees. So even though it's the closest planet to the sun, it gets super cold.
That's so weird to me.
I know. I wish I would have like wrote more down about why that is, but I guess it's just because it's literally a dead planet.
And it also has ice on it.
And maybe that's just the side that's facing away from the sun at that time. Like, it's not planet-wide, obviously.
Well, I read that they have ice on it, and it's because there's, like, these permanently, like, shadowed places where, like, the sun will never touch. It's like those areas grow ice.
Let's see. And most craters on the planet is because it's constantly hit from just the solar winds from the sun and high-speed mini asteroids. And let's see. One day on Mercury is equal to 59 Earth days, which I think is pretty interesting. Like, a day is how fast the Earth makes a spin, right? Yeah. A spin is a day. A revolution is around the sun, so that's a year. And Mercury takes longer, like, as a small planet to spin for a day than Earth does.
So if we lived on Mercury, we'd be a lot younger than we are now. Or would we be older?
One day. So technically, and then a year. It would... I'm not doing this math right now.
I don't know the thought process.
No, I'm not getting that deep into it. But only... Oh wait, 1 year is only 88 Earth days. So it goes around the sun in 88 days, but 1 day is 59 Earth days. Okay.
We got this.
And they only have one sunrise every 180 days. They. I don't know who they are.
The aliens that live on Mercury, of course.
Let's see. Oh, wait. This was interesting. It has a thin exosphere composed mostly of oxygen, sodium, hydrogen, helium, and potassium atoms that are constantly being blasted off of the surface from like the impacts of the solar winds and the asteroids. I thought that was pretty cool. So like, I feel like that would have been a ring if Mercury hadn't been so close to the sun, because the gravity of that, you ain't gonna have a ring.
God didn't like it, so he didn't put a ring on it.
And she was named after the swiftest of the ancient Roman gods, Mercury. Alright. You got anything else about her?
That is it.
Alright, moving on. Next up, we got Venus. She the hottest.
It's weird saying that because my best friend, my roommate's mom's named Venus.
I know, I love Miss Venus. I miss her, shout out. She probably don't listen to this. But, okay, so Venus has no moons once again, but she's made of thick clouds of sulfuric acid that covers the planet, that would cause chemical burns if a human were to ever land there. And it smells like rotten eggs. It's like the pimple of the solar system.
Quote from Marina: Venus is the pimple of the solar system.
Oh. Ew. Okay. Its atmosphere is so dense it would crush you immediately. And it's so hot it could melt lead at 621 degrees Fahrenheit.
One cool thing about Venus, though, is it's often called Earth's sister planet because we're like almost the exact same size as Venus.
Yeah. And some people like to say we need to save our Earth or else we're gonna end up like Venus.
Damn.
Bubbly and hot and fiery and toxic.
Venus also likes to go against the flow. Like, she rotates in the opposite direction to most other planets. She kind of just marches to the beat of her own drum.
Yeah, I think it's only one of 2 planets that does that. We'll get to the other one because I don't remember which one it was. Let's see. The longest scientific probe to survive there only lasted 2 hours, sent from Russia. Dude, Russia tries to send, or they do send so much more than I thought to space. Like, here I am growing up in America thinking we're the only ones doing this, but now I'm like, there's a lot of us.
It really expands, like, the way you think about things.
I know. Let's see, a day is longer than its year there. And it's the only planet named after a female god, the god of love and beauty. Cute. I love how they picked Venus for that. I would have done, like, swapped it with Uranus.
Why'd you just say it like that?
Because that's the actual pronunciation.
Uranus?
Yeah.
I've never heard that once in my life.
Yeah, that's how the scientists
Heard?
call it. It's just some little fucktard that decided, oh, let's call it Uranus. No, it's Uranus.
Maybe you already said this, but Venus is also the hottest of the planets.
Mm-hmm.
It has a surface temperature of 462 degrees. And there is never any seasonal variation because it doesn't tilt on its axis like the other planets do.
Oh yeah, that's true. I think I wrote down something about that, but apparently I didn't. Let's see. At the tops of Venus's clouds, there are dark streaks in the 224 mile an hour winds and absorb ultraviolet radiation. There's a lot of shit going on. Fine particles, ice crystals, iron chloride for microbial life. Why did I write that down? Oh, I think that's what's also like in the clouds and winds and stuff. Like it's whipping around the fine particles, ice crystals, iron chloride, and they think that there possibly could be microbial life like in the atmosphere. That's why I wrote it down. That's pretty cool.
Alright, you have anything else about Venus?
Let's see. They have valleys and high mountains with thousands of volcanoes. And the atmosphere would press down on you like you're 0.6 miles deep in the ocean. And that's all I got.
Yeah, the atmosphere is crazy there. Like, you basically die if you ever walk on Venus just because of the pressure.
We died, realistically, if we go to any planet. But moving on.
Alright guys, just to stay with like our distance from the sun, we're gonna do the Earth next.
But ain't she doing the most?
Yeah, do we even really need to talk that much about Earth? Earth is like the pick-me boy of the group.
Yeah, like I can do all the things.
Earth is trying so hard to be everybody's favorite, but it's also like kind of doing bad at the same time right now.
Yeah. And it's the only planet with oceans on its surface. And the only planet not named after Greek or Roman gods. Earth is actually just the Germanic word for the ground.
I actually didn't know that. It's kind of funny.
No. And it's the only planet with only one moon that stabilizes Earth's wobble. So that's why, I think I've mentioned it before, if we didn't have the moon, like Earth would be a much different planet and possibly wouldn't have life. And it is believed when Earth was young, a large chunk of rock smashed into it, displacing a portion of the Earth that formed our moon. So that's another unique thing about her. Oh yeah, that's all I have.
Heard that?
Moving on. Mars.
Alright, y'all. Mars gets talked about a lot. She's kind of popular.
Yeah, I gave her the Tech Award because she's only inhabited by robots.
Heard that? Mars gets the Tech Award.
And the reason why we are sending people to Mars to see if life is sustainable is because Mars actually has underground lakes. And so when there's water, there's a chance for life. And I'm sure you guys already knew that.
And Mars used to have like a much thicker atmosphere, but she ended up losing some weight. We know that she used to have water on her, which, did they still find water on her? I thought they couldn't find water anymore, but they thought it was. Or they see where water was.
There's water there right now, but the atmosphere is too thin for liquid water to exist for long on the surface. I got all my information from NASA, and they refer to something called water ice. I don't know what that true consistency is. I should have looked that up, but
Yeah, I don't really know what that is.
I guess that's just like, I think
ice that's made from water.
sloshy ice? I don't know.
Like a slushy.
I
I'm
don't
joking,
know,
it's definitely not
man.
a slushy, guys.
But there's water ice under the surface in their polar regions. So, yes, there is forms of water there right now. And out of the estimated 70,000 meteorites found on Earth, about 700 are from Mars.
Mars has been hitting us a little bit.
And she has two moons, Deimos and Phobos, Phobos is the bigger one, and in 50 million years will crash into Mars. So,
What happens when it crashes into Mars? Is the planet just like gone?
probably not, but it could give Mars its first ring from the dust that will collect around it. So I guess if our humans make it there, they got a good time to prepare. Alright, so
She's also a little bit self-conscious about it, but she has the biggest volcano on her. Like, the biggest volcano in our entire solar system.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Its name is Olympus Mons, and it's the biggest volcano ever discovered in our solar system. It's 374 miles across, and it stands at 16 miles high, which is triple the height of Mount Everest.
And the base of it is the size of New Mexico.
That's crazy, y'all. The base of this volcano is the size of New Mexico.
That's fat.
I had it written down that it was the size of Arizona. I guess they're probably about the same.
Yeah, they're basically just two squares.
And volcanoes on Mars can grow so big because the gravity's way weaker than it is on Earth. But how those volcanoes came to be in the first place isn't really well known. Some people wonder if there's like a plate tectonic system, kind of like we have on Earth, that created them.
Who knows? But its core is made of iron, nickel, and sulfur, which is a little different from most planets. The crust is made of iron, magnesium, aluminum, calcium, and potassium. See, this is the science nerd in me, because, like, I just think of all these chemicals, and I'm like, I wonder, because, like, we're taught in school, like, a certain form of a chemical, but, like, on these other planets, they're, like, in forms of gases and stuff, and it's just so interesting to me. I don't know, like, I don't know. Some features suggest she had a huge flood about 3.5 billion years ago. And she's named after the Roman god of war because of its red color, reminiscent of blood. But the red comes from iron minerals and dirt that are oxidized and rust. So Mars is like constantly rusted.
One cool thing about Mars, though, is when the sun sets on Mars, the sky turns blue.
Yeah, that is weird.
Like, all the sunsets are blue. It's really weird.
I want to see that.
I do too, but that is so cool to see.
Yeah, they need to make like a really dope museum where you go in and you experience life on each planet.
That'd be so cool.
Like,
why don't we have that yet?
Little mini effects. Oh my god, I'm patenting it. I'm gonna create this. This is gonna be my future. Oh my god.
Marina just figured out her life in 5
Like,
seconds.
and give you little mini, like, jump scares, like you're gonna die on that planet. Like, put, like, huge gusts of wind, like, pushing you down, but, like, it's not actually gonna do anything. You're just gonna be like, ah.
Why is that kind of a good idea?
I love it. Oh my god. Okay, if you got money, get with me, because we're gonna make this.
Yeah, any investors out there, hit us up.
Okay. Didn't think I'd come out with a groundbreaking idea today. Alright, what else I got about Mars? Because there's actually, I mean, we know a lot about her. We're sending people there. The two moons, so they're possibly captured asteroids. They're potato shaped because the small mass, like spinning around Mars, the gravity, it's just like too small to make spherical.
Potato shape? That's kind of ugly.
Yeah. A lot of, the further you get out into the solar system, like past Neptune, things are a little potato-y. One Martian year is equal to 687 Earth days. So we would.
Wait, are they called Martians because of Mars?
I just made that up. It's probably accurate.
That's kind of crazy. If that is true, I never put two and two together.
Yeah, because a lot of like these planets on NASA's website, like a Neptunian year or a Uranian year.
It's crazy. The more you know.
Yep. And let's see. The two moons were named after horses that pulled the chariot of the Greek god of war. It's so interesting how like a majority of the solar system is named either after Roman and Greek gods or mythical creatures or literary characters.
Right.
That's so American. Well, no. Well,
We're not really the ones that named them. It's so Earthian.
Earthian. That's the word.
So Earth of us. What if there's like people on like Jupiter that call Earth something that's not even like.
There's nobody on Jupiter.
Okay, what if like on an inhabitable planet they call Earth something other than Earth?
Well, they probably do.
What if we're like potato?
Probably zoo.
Zoo?
Yeah.
Alright, moving on to Jupiter.
Yeah.
Jupiter is the fourth brightest object in our solar system. It's one of the 5 planets that you can see with the naked eye from Earth.
I put her as the protector because she protects Earth from a lot of major hits.
Yeah, we really like Jupiter. She's kind of like that friend that stands up for you when you need somebody to really take care of you.
Yeah. She takes that punch.
She
man.
does. She takes the punches for us.
And if Earth is the size of a grape, then Jupiter is the size of a basketball.
That was a really good analogy.
Mm-hmm. It has the fastest day of the solar system at 9 hours and 56 minutes. And if you've seen a picture of Jupiter, which I'm sure we all have, you might have noticed the Great Red Spot, which is a giant storm that has winds of up to 270 miles an hour, and it's been going on for 350 years, and it's bigger than the planet Earth itself, but shrinking slowly. I think that is so interesting.
That
like,
really is super cool.
Imagine just like a hurricane out in the ocean, just like swirling right there for 350 years.
That's kind of how this last hurricane felt, honestly. This thing just sat over Hammond for an hour.
I know.
350 years, that is crazy.
And there is a theory out there that one of these hits that Jupiter took, like threw off a chunk of it and hit Earth, and it had the ingredients to create life on it. And when it hit Earth, life was formed. But that's just a theory. Obviously, it's not proven. And the stripes and swirls that you can see through Jupiter are actually cold, windy clouds of ammonia and water floating in the atmosphere of hydrogen and helium. I feel like Earth is probably the least windy planet. Because, like, all these planets, the winds are crazy.
What's that one that's like super crazy? Is it Neptune?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that one's insane.
Windy city over there. But, okay, what else we got? Jupiter. Because I actually have a whole page for Jupiter. Named after the king of ancient Roman gods. The moon, one of its moons, Europa, is likely a place to find life, and there's evidence of vast oceans under the icy crust. But altogether, Jupiter has 53 confirmed moons. Holy crap. And 26 provisional moons awaiting confirmation of discovery.
What does that even mean?
That there are 26 other things orbiting Jupiter, but scientists haven't discovered it. I think it's like based off of like mathematical things, and there's like certain checkpoints that you have to like do to name it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that makes sense.
But the 4 largest moons are, I don't know.
I love the first one.
Wait, the Io one?
Oh no.
I don't know. I didn't write them in like the order of biggest to small, but I think that's how you pronounce it, is Io. But she is the most volcanically active being in our solar system. And then there's Europa and
Ganymede.
okay.
I don't know why I love that word so much. Ganymede?
I don't know, it just gives me granny vibes.
Exactly. I'm gonna name like a cat or something that one day.
But she's the largest moon in the solar system, and it's bigger than Mercury itself. And then there's Callisto. But, okay. Now we gotta talk about the fact that Jupiter has rings.
Jupiter is married.
So they were discovered in 1979, and they're composed of small dark particles only seen when backlit by the sun, and it's possibly from dust kicked up as meteoroids. What? I just had a moment where that didn't feel like a real word. Anyways, but they smash into the moons. Okay. And then Jupiter has some ingredient. Oh, I thought this was so cool because I thought about this for a really long time. But Jupiter has the same ingredients as a star, but it didn't grow big enough to ignite. That is so cool to me. Like, I'm glad it didn't, because there's no way we would be here next to, or in between 2 suns. But then, if you think about it, if there are 2 stars right there, I feel like a black hole or something would like
Create
collapse or
these guys,
something. What else? It has the largest ocean in the solar system made of hydrogen. I wonder what that looks like. Just an ocean
Made of hydrogen. I know.
hydrogen? Like, what is hydrogen without oxygen?
Yeah, like how can it be an ocean with just gas?
No. It's so cool though. And scientists think that about halfway into the center, the pressure is so great that electrons are squeezed off of hydrogen atoms, making the liquid electrically conducting. That's crazy. That's some physics stuff that it's hard to wrap your mind around, but the fact that the pressure is so high that it just squeezes electrons off of hydrogen atoms.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And the core, oh my god, the core temperature gets to 90,032 degrees Fahrenheit.
Isn't that crazy? I like preheat the oven to like 425.
I know.
And that's like 100,000 times hotter.
I know.
I mean, not 100,000 times. It's like
It's just
1,000
crazy.
times hotter.
And the core is made of iron and silicate. Silicate? Yeah, I guess. Which is like quartz. So that's cool. And as we get to Jupiter and further, there is no surface on these planets. Like, if you were to land something, there's nothing to land on. You'd get crushed before ever landing on any kind of core. So I thought that was cool.
I don't really like that. I want the planets to be like very solid. You put a land on them all.
I know.
Alright, y'all. Let's move on to Saturn.
Bougie.
Saturn is a little bougie.
Mm-hmm.
We also don't really body shame here, but Saturn is the flattest of all the planets. its polar diameter is 90% of its equatorial diameter, which I'm assuming is just talking about like this way and this way.
I guess.
I know y'all can't see on the podcast, but I'm making like a cross with my hands. Y'all can see on mine.
Video.
Oh,
by the way, for the YouTube video, do you like my shirt? It's an alien riding a cat in space.
that is my favorite shirt.
In honor of me going to get 2 kittens today.
Yes, y'all will see them on the next podcast.
Yes, I'm so excited. Okay, moving back to Saturn. Okay. She has dozens of moons. 2 of them are called Enceladus and Titan. And they have internal oceans. And Titan is smoggy with methane lakes. And then Enceladus has it sprays jets of water. So.
Like the moon sprays jets of water?
Mm-hmm.
Heard.
But Saturn is a giant ball of hydrogen and helium gas, and humans would sink, be crushed, and then melted, and then vaporized if you ever wanted to go there.
Sounds like a good time.
And it's actually the only planet where its density is less than water, so like if you put Saturn in a bathtub, it would float.
But it's like a gas. How does it float?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how the science works, but its density is just really low.
Heard.
Also, I learned this for the first time. It has a hexagon-shaped North Pole that sometimes changes color, and one side of this hexagon shape is equal in diameter of the Earth, and it's just like these jet streams with a massive rotating storm in the center. But have you seen a picture of it? Because it looks so cool. And the fact that it changes colors sometimes, like, is even
I'm about to look
cooler.
up a picture.
While he's looking that up, Saturn is named after the Roman god of agriculture and wealth, and the father of Jupiter. And it has the second shortest day at 10 hours. One Saturn year is equal to 29.4 Earth years.
The picture is really neat looking.
Mm-hmm. I think, does Saturn have the most moons? Because she has 53 confirmed moons and 29 awaiting confirmation, whereas Jupiter had 26 awaiting confirmation. So I think Saturn is going to end up with the most moons in the solar system.
Yeah, it has 82 in total, which is 3 more than Jupiter, which is the second highest.
Jeez. I would not like to have that many moons.
I wouldn't either. It's too much to keep up with.
Yeah. Imagine like going to school and you have to learn all 88 of your moon names.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Ours is just called
like
moon.
A whole nother periodic table. Alright, so let's talk about the rings. They are pieces of comets, asteroids, and shattered moons, and billions of small chunks of ice and rock, and they range in sizes from a grain of ice to the size of a mountain, and each ring orbits at a different speed, which I never thought of that being a thing, because in pictures, I always thought they were just like flat rings. Like, I don't know why I had this picture in my head that they were just like ice, just like floating around. But no, they're just like big old chunks of mountain-sized things. And the ring system extends 175,000 miles from the planet, but it's only like 30 feet high all the way around.
What's like 30 feet high?
The rings. Like the rings that rotate. Like,
yeah.
They extend for 175 miles out, but like the height of it is only 30 feet high.
Damn, I feel like that's kind of small.
I know, it is, in comparison.
Yeah.
I guess it's just like gravity. It like wants to flatten it as much as possible. I don't know.
Heard.
Anything else? Anything else? That's all I have on Saturn.
That's Same.
Alright.
I'm not even going to say the name of this one. You can go for it.
Be a grown up. It's Uranus. And I put drip too hard. Why did I put that? Oh, so she's an icy planet. Very cold and windy. 80% of its mass is made of hot, dense fluid of icy materials, including like water, methane, and ammonia. And the core gets up to 9,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So you think, like, it's so odd to me that these planets can be so cold, but then be like 9,000 degrees. But I mean, that's like Earth, I guess. Earth does the same thing.
Yeah, I guess it does.
Alright, it rotates on its side at 98 degrees, possibly from like a past Earth-sized shape crashing into it long ago. And she has 27 moons, mostly named after literary characters. And I did not know that Uranus also has 13 rings. And also, oh wait, no, I have more on the rings. 2 sets of the rings.
Mm-hmm.
The inner...
There's 11 inner and 2 outer.
Yeah. The inner ones are narrow and dark and gray. And the outer 2, one is reddish and the other one is blue. I wonder why they're different colors. Because, like, NASA didn't really elaborate.
It says the inner... Never mind, it's not saying what I thought it was.
Yeah. But something really cool, which is also why I must have put drip too hard, is it may rain diamonds there.
Alright, Uranus.
Yeah.
Uranus.
Say it again, Uranus.
Uranus.
Yeah, that's the right name. And Uranus is named after the Greek god of the sky. 1 Uranian year is equal to 84 Earth years. And for a quarter of the year, the sun shines directly on each pole, putting the other side of the planet into a 21-year-long dark winter.
That's awful.
It's spooky. Imagine just, like, going to the dark side. Like, I just imagine living life on these planets and, like, going to visit the dark side of the Earth. I don't know, like...
Yeah, they definitely do, like, all the shady stuff on the dark side.
Yeah. I'm getting so many ideas for my, like, NASA... Well, no, it's not going to be a NASA museum. It's going to be Marina's Museum of Space.
Marina's Museum of Space.
This was my life goal, man. This was what I was put here for. Alright, anything else? Ooh, inner moons are roughly half water ice, half rock, and the outer moons, the surface is unknown but likely captured asteroids. And then the atmospheric temperature at minimum gets to negative 224 degrees Celsius. That's all I got about Uranus. Uranus.
Yep,
Wow.
you said it wrong.
Wow.
Alright, y'all, that brings us to Neptune. And Neptune is a windy boy. So Earth is always stressing over hurricanes, but the strength of those winds is nothing compared to what you would find on Neptune. At its highest altitudes, according to NASA, winds blow at more than 1,100 miles per hour. To put that in context, that's faster than the speed of sound on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, that is crazy. The peak winds of this last hurricane were like, what? Like 150, 145
Yeah.
whenever it hit us? That's like 10 times as strong.
I know. Like, you be whipped up, boy, and thrown all over the place.
I just want to know like what that looks like. Like, what would happen if those winds like hit a building? Like, would this entire building blow away? Probably.
Well, visit Marina's Space Museum in 20 years and find out.
True. 20 years is how long it's going to take.
I'm assuming it's going to be high scale. Alright, it is the coldest planet with...
No, the last one was definitely the coldest, right?
No. Yeah, this one's the coldest because it gets to negative 391 degrees. And also, it's like further out than the sun. Anyways, the only planet not visible to the naked eye, and it's the first planet located through mathematical calculations. Ooh, 1 Neptunian year is equal. Do you want to guess how many Earth years?
How many?
Just guess.
Like 30. Is it more or less?
More. Think of how long it would take Neptune to go around the sun. How many Earth years?
Oh god. It's gotta be like 2,000, 3,000.
Okay, that's a dramatic. It's 165 Earth years.
You made it sound like it was so much more than my first guess, so.
You only guessed 30. The last planet was... Hold up. Yeah, Uranus was 84. Anyways, okay. She has 14 moons. The largest is Triton. And Triton is the only moon that has a retrograde orbit, meaning it could have been an independent object that was captured by the planet. And retrograde just means like it does what Venus does. Or wait, it spins backwards. Yeah.
Is that what retrograde means? I never knew that.
Yeah. That's why we like the term when Mercury's in retrograde in the astrology world. Because I think Mercury will like spin forward or as it goes around, and then it hits a certain point where it kind of goes backwards.
Makes sense.
Ooh, the moons of Neptune are named after lesser sea gods and nymphs in Greek mythology. I thought that was interesting.
I'm such a mythology nerd. I love mythology.
I know, I want to know more. There was a spacecraft thing that discovered geysers. Is that how you say that? A geyser? Geyser. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That spews icy materials up to 5 miles up. It has a very thin atmosphere that is growing warmer, and scientists don't know why. And Neptune also has 5 main rings, and what's interesting is it has 4 arcs, which are just like half rings that are there. And they're just clumps of dust, basically. But it's strange because the laws of motion would predict they would spread out evenly around the planet, but scientists think that the gravity from the moon galaxy stabilizes the arcs to where they don't do that. Weird physics shit going on out there. But 80% of Neptune's mass is made up of water, methane, and ammonia, and it might have an ocean of super hot water under its cold clouds that doesn't boil away because of the very high pressure in the atmosphere. Again, weird chemistry stuff going on.
See, we're like never living on Neptune. There's too much going on there.
Oh no, none of these planets. Because they're all just gas. There's nothing to live on. Oh, and the atmosphere, it said, was made of hydrogen, helium, and methane, and it extends great depths, merging into water and other melted ices. And I'm like, wait, the atmosphere merges into water? What does that mean?
Yeah, I need a visual.
You got anything else on her?
That is it.
Alright, now we're gonna do our honorable mentions. The dwarf planets. Because I didn't know there were this many. I thought Pluto was our first dwarf planet. But, okay, so Pluto is what is known as in the Kuiper belt? I don't know how to say that word.
I don't even know what the word is.
You've never heard of it? Like the belt of asteroids that's beyond Neptune. Kuiper? It's like Kuiper. I don't know. But the belt, I'm just going to call it the belt, is made of rocky... Oh, no. Pluto is made of a rocky core with a mantle of water ice, methane, and nitrogen. So, in comparison to other planets, Pluto's rotation does its own thing. And it actually gets closer to the sun than Neptune does at some points. Because, okay, the sun's right here, and then you have the planets that orbit like this, right?
Right.
So, Pluto not only does an elliptical orbit, like it makes it oval shape, but it does it kind of like this. So, at a certain point, it gets closer to the sun than like Neptune does out here.
Heard.
Thought that was cool. It's smaller than our moon, but has mountains bigger than the Rockies. Also, there is a giant heart shape of like red dusty stuff that's this bigger than Texas on Pluto.
What if Pluto's just trying to tell us all that it loves us and wants to be back included?
I know.
That's what that red heart is.
I know. Wait, okay, so where? Oh, we'll get to it. It's one of the other dwarf planets. Its name has to do with Pluto being demoted.
Okay.
It's sad. Okay. Let's see. It has mountains, valleys, plains, craters, and maybe even glaciers. So Pluto, even though she's way the fuck, she has so many different like geographical landscapes. It's interesting. And it's actually named after the Roman god of the underworld, and it was named by an 11-year-old girl.
Why does an 11-year-old girl know the Roman god of the underworld?
I know, like the story went that she told her grandpa like that's what they should name it, and he told the observatory that discovered Pluto that, and they're like, yeah, we'll name it Pluto.
Was her dad the owner of the observatory?
They just referred to him as the grandfather. I don't know.
Because if I told my grandfather, I was like, you know what, they should name the new planet Pluto, he'd be like, okay. And that would be the end.
I don't know. But also, wait, the Roman god of the underworld is basically equal to the Greek god Hades, I don't know. I can't pronounce anything today. What are my last little facts? Pluto has 5 moons, and there's one of them, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Sharon, a moon named Sharon.
That's gotta be the worst moon.
Is actually tidally locked to Pluto, so they kind of rotate each other. It's cool.
That is cool.
Ooh. Do you know what an astronomical unit is?
It sounds familiar, but no, not really.
It's the distance between the sun and Earth. And science has just kind of created that measurement just to measure how far the things in our solar system are from each other. And Pluto ranges from being 49.3 to 30 AUs away from the sun. So that's how much it varies.
Damn, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now I'm just going to do a quick little run through of our dwarf planets, because I don't think you have anything on the dwarf planets, huh? Alright, so first we have Ceres. Ceres? I don't know. It's the largest object in the asteroid belt between... Oh, this one's interesting because it's the only dwarf planet between Mars and Jupiter. So it's the inner solar system. And it's named after the Roman goddess of corn and harvest, and is the word we get cereal from.
That is interesting.
Scientists want to search for signs of life there because it has water, and they call it an embryonic planet because it didn't finish forming because Jupiter's strong gravity kind of halted it. It could be composed of 25% water, which is, in comparison, more than Earth. It has a crust of rocky and dusty big salt deposits. Oh, magnesium sulfate salt, which is different. There's nothing really like that on anything else in the solar system. And it's possible that past hydrothermal activity caused ice volcanoes, and the atmosphere could contain water vapor. So I just thought this was a very interesting dwarf planet because I did not know we had one in our inner solar system. There is definitely like water there and life could be there, and I don't hear about it enough. I want more research.
Same.
Now, okay, next dwarf planet is Humia? I don't know, man. Okay, but this one's out in the other belt past Neptune. It is football shaped, and it's one of the fastest rotating objects in the solar system, which distorts its shape. It was only discovered in 2003, and this one changes it up a little bit, and it's named after the Hawaiian goddess of fertility. This dwarf planet has 2 moons, and scientists discovered rings in 2017. So, next we have Eris, which was discovered in 2005, and this, along with another dwarf planet called Make,
That's awful.
ignited the debate about what the definition of a planet should be, because these 2 dwarf planets were very like Pluto. So, in 2006, Eris was named Eris after the Greek goddess of discord, and the moon was named Dysnomia after the demon goddess of lawlessness, and they named it after these things because of the demotion of Pluto.
Damn.
Alright. So we already touched about Make. It's basically the same as the other dwarf planets, nothing really cool going on there. And then my last thing is Planet X. Do you know the Planet X theory?
No, not really.
So, Caltech researchers found mathematical evidence in 2015 suggesting that there may be a Neptune-sized planet beyond Pluto, and we just haven't discovered it yet. There's no proof, but like the math is there.
Well, we need to send a. As I was saying, no one's dumber, that sounds weird to say. But we've had a spacecraft that passed Neptune before, so it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but
I'm sure we have a lot of other things we need to be spending money on right now besides that, but
they're probably honestly just gonna, I don't know, could you even make a telescope that strong? I don't know. And it could be that there's other things out there that block our view from it.
yeah.
I don't know, but it's a cool little, there might be another planet out there. It just goes to show how much we don't know. Like we say we do know more about space than our own ocean, but even what we do know about our solar system, I'm sure everyone listening today learned at least one new thing about it. Because I didn't know a lot of this.
Same.
And that's why I wanted to do this episode, because I like learning random shit about random topics.
Alright, y'all. If y'all have any cool space facts to add, definitely reach out to us on the socials and let us know.
Mm-hmm. And go snoop around NASA's website, because it was pretty fun. They have really cool pictures, as they should. And stay tuned for Marina's Space Museum.
Yeah, coming in
2050.
Yeah, 2050. Alright, y'all. Make sure y'all follow us on the socials. You can follow me at Kayla Mercado.
And me at Marina Renee.
And we will catch y'all next week with a brand new episode.
Stay woke, you guys.